The sound of my sister's voice hit me like a slap. We were in the packed courtroom, and every face turned when she stood and said it. Single parents should stay quiet. They should accept their place and stop speaking. She looked straight at me when she said it. People whispered. Some even nodded. My chest burned. I felt small, like I was being pushed into the floor. I wanted to grab my daughter Mia and leave, but I could not move. I had fought so hard just to be here, and now my own sister, Brooke, was the one trying to break me. My hand shook. I tasted salt in my mouth because I was biting my lip so hard. Then the judge spoke. His voice was calm, but the room froze. Judge Whitaker looked right at me over his glasses. Mr. Cross, he said, would you like to address the court as counsel? For a moment, I thought I heard him wrong. Me? Counsel? My heart slammed in my ears. Brooke's smile faded. Aaron Blake, my ex's side, leaned forward like he could not believe it. I stood up, even though my knees were weak. Yes, Your Honor, I said. The judge nodded. Then proceed. Understood. I will continue now with chapters 2 to 5 in the same voice, length, and structure. Each chapter is approximately 200 to 220 words. First person, grade 7 English, names consistent, and the story flows from the outline already agreed. I will not rush. I will keep the pacing strong and clean. When I said, Your Honor, yes, the room shifted. It felt like the air itself changed shape. I could see people straighten in their seats. Brooke blinked fast, like she was trying to wake from a bad dream. She had always seen me as the soft one, the brother who should stay quiet and take whatever came. She did not know everything I carried in silence. Judge Whitaker asked me to step forward. My palms were wet, but my voice did not break. He said my written motion read like it came from a trained lawyer. He asked where I had learned to write like that. Heat filled my face. I told him I finished law school years ago, but life changed when Mia was born. I never took the bar because I needed work fast, and I raised her alone. A small sound moved through the courtroom. Not laughter, not shock, something else. Respect maybe, or surprise that did not know what to do yet. Aaron Blake stared at me like I was a stranger. Brooke's jaw tightened. She saw that her picture of me had been wrong, and that scared her more than anything. The judge said, Begin your argument. And I did. Walking back to the table after speaking, my hand still shook, but inside my chest something new formed. It felt like standing up after being pushed down for years. I spoke about my daughter. I spoke about fairness. I spoke about lies. I did not raise my voice. I did not need to. The truth held its own weight. When the judge paused the hearing for a short break, Brooke came straight to me in the hallway. She did not hug me. She did not smile. She leaned close, and her words were sharp. She said she was doing this for our family name, that single fathers looked weak, that courts trusted mothers more, and I should accept that and sit down. Then she said the part that hurt most. She told me she and Aaron had been working together behind my back. She wanted Mia out of my home for a while so I could learn my limits. It was not about Mia at all. It was about control. I felt like the floor tilted under me. I kept my voice calm because I had to. I told her I would fight, but not with hate. She smiled, cold and small, and said, We have evidence you haven't seen yet. The doors opened. Court was back in session. When we returned, Claire Donovan, Aaron's lawyer, stood right away. She tried to knock me down fast. She said I could not act as counsel because I was not licensed. She wanted my words thrown out as if they were nothing. My heart pounded, but Judge Whitaker raised his hand. He said I could continue speaking as myself, and that my arguments would be heard on their merits. Claire did not like that. She switched paths, fast and sharp. She said Aaron had proof I was careless with Mia. She walked to the table and laid out photos like cards in a game. There I was, tired, dishes in the sink, laundry undone, Mia watching cartoons. In one picture, it looked like she was alone near the stairs. Gasps came from the back. My stomach dropped. Those pictures were from inside my house. I had not taken them. No one had permission to be there. The judge asked where the photos came from. Claire hesitated for 1 second too long. Aaron looked down. Brooke looked away. The judge's face tightened. He said there would be an evidentiary hearing about how those photos were taken. Aaron reached for another folder. He said, There's more. He opened the folder slowly, like he enjoyed the moment. More papers. More pictures. Notes that twisted small things into big ones. A late bill became proof I was unstable. A tired face became proof I could not cope. They were trying to turn normal single-parent life into a crime. I felt heat rise in my throat. Not anger only. Hurt. Years of trying, of cooking simple meals, of laughing with Mia when we had little money, of staying up when she was sick. None of that was in those papers. Only shadows were. I looked at Mia, sitting in the back row with a family friend. She was hugging her backpack. Her eyes were wide, but she trusted me. That trust went through me like light. I would not break here. I told the judge someone had been inside my home. I said I never gave consent. He listened carefully and made a note. Then he set a date to examine the source of the photos and whether they were even legal to use. As we were leaving the courtroom, a neighbor brushed my arm and whispered that a man had been following me for weeks. He said my sister paid him. My heart went still for a second. My phone buzzed. A strange number was calling me. I stepped outside to answer the call. A man's voice spoke fast but low. He said his name was Cole Harding. He told me he was a private investigator and that he had been paid to watch me. My hand tightened on the phone. He said he cannot do it anymore because it felt wrong. He said my little girl looked scared in one of the staged moments, and that bothered him all night. He asked to meet somewhere public. I agreed, even though my stomach twisted with fear. We met at a small cafe near the courthouse. He looked tired, like someone who had not slept for days. He slid a small flash drive across the table. He said everything was on it. He told me my sister gave the orders. She wanted pictures that made me look weak, careless, broken. She wanted me to feel ashamed for being a single dad. I felt like my chest was on fire, but I thanked him for telling the truth. Before he left, he said one more thing. He said there was audio too. Audio of Brooke planning it all. I held that tiny flash drive in my hand. It suddenly felt very big. That night, I waited until Mia was asleep. I sat at the kitchen table with my old laptop open. My hand was shaking a little as I plugged in the flash drive. Folder after folder appeared. Pictures, dates, notes. Then I saw the audio files. I pressed play. I heard my sister's voice like she was sitting right in front of me. She told Cole to make me look unfit so the court would think Mia was safer somewhere else. She laughed once. She said single parents should know their place. She said I love my child, but love was not enough and people like me should not talk back. Each word felt like a cut, not because of court, because it was my sister saying it. The person who held me when I was young now wanted to take my child from me to teach me a lesson. I paused the recording and pressed my hands over my face. I did not want revenge to hurt her. I wanted the truth to stand on its own. The next morning, I made breakfast for Mia, like always. I packed the flash drive into a small envelope and put it in my pocket. Court was coming again. This time, I was ready. When we entered the courtroom again, I felt different. Not louder, not tougher, just steady, like roots under the ground. Claire Donovan stood tall, ready to press more claims, but Judge Whitaker looked straight at me first. He asked if I had anything to submit. I said yes. I offered the flash drive according to the rules he explained. It was logged as evidence. The recording was played. My sister's voice filled the courtroom. There was no way to twist it. She planned the pictures. She wanted the reports to be worse. She talked about me like I was nothing. People shifted in their seats. Even Aaron Blake looked shaken. Brooke would not lift her eyes. The judge stopped the playback. His face was calm, but firm. He denied the request for emergency custody at once. He said there would be a deeper hearing now because of possible fraud and unlawful entry. We walked into the hallway after the session. Brooke finally looked at me. There was no smile now, only fear and anger mixing together. She said I had no idea what she still had left. Then she whispered something that froze me. She said, "Ask me who Mia's guardian was supposed to be." The doors closed behind us. Her words echoed in my head the whole evening. Guardian. Supposed to be. It felt like someone had opened a door in the dark, and I did not know what was inside. After I tucked Mia into bed, I searched through the old box of hospital papers I kept from the day she was born. I thought I knew everything in that box. Wristbands, photos, discharge forms. Then I saw it. A paper I did not remember signing. A spot marked, "Emergency Guardian if parent cannot serve." It wasn't blank. It had Brooke's name on it. I sat back in the chair and stared at it. My hands went cold. My ex-partner must have filled this form without telling me. Brooke must have kept this for years like a hidden key. She wanted to use it now to take Mia for my own good. It was not love. It was power. The next morning, I went to the hospital records office to confirm the form. They matched it. It was real. I walked outside into the bright sun and felt small for a second, then steady again. This did not change who Mia trusted. It only showed how long the plan had lived. I knew I could not stop now. I called Aaron Blake and asked to meet in a public place. We sat across from each other at a small table in the park. I spoke first. I told him I knew about the stage photos, the investigator, and the recording. I asked him why he joined Brooke in all of this. He looked tired in a different way than before. He said Brooke promised to help fix his image in court and with his friends if he stood against me. He said she told him judges like strong families that look normal and that I made things messy just by being a single dad. He did not defend himself much. He just looked ashamed. Then he told me something new. He said Brooke paid someone else too. A clerk. Someone who touched files. My heart started beating fast. Not from fear, but from a feeling of puzzle pieces clicking together. He gave me a name. Olivia Reed. I thanked him, even though it hurt to speak. I walked away knowing the story was bigger and darker than I thought at first. As I reached my car, my phone buzzed again. This time, it was an unknown text. It said, "We need to talk. I can't carry this anymore." It was from Olivia. We met in the corner booth of a quiet diner. Olivia Reed looked like she wanted to disappear into her own jacket. She kept wringing her hands as she talked. She said Brooke had paid her to move certain papers to the top of stacks and misplace others that helped me. She said she never changed court orders. She just nudged things so they were seen late or looked incomplete. Even that felt heavy on her now. She slid a small envelope toward me. Inside were copies of bank transfers and a short handwritten note from Brooke telling her what to delay. I listened without yelling. I wanted to be angry, but I chose something else. I told her to tell the truth to the court. She nodded with tears in her eyes. As I left the diner, I noticed something inside myself. I did not want to crush anyone. I wanted the lies to stop. That was my revenge. Not fire. Not shouting. Just light. The next hearing date was set. Full trial. Witnesses. Recordings. Proof. That night, while washing dishes, I saw Mia drawing at the table. She drew us holding hands in front of a big building. "Is that the courthouse?" I asked. She smiled and said yes. I knew what I was fighting for. On the day of mediation, we all sat around a long table. No judge, just a mediator with calm eyes and a stack of files. Brooke sat across from me, stiff and cold. Aaron kept looking down. The mediator asked each of us to speak. I spoke about my daughter, about mornings with cereal and homework spread across the table, about fear and hope and trying every day. I did not mention revenge. I mentioned safety and truth. Then the mediator played the recording again. Brooke broke. She slammed her hand on the table and said I was using victim talk and that I was weak. The room went silent. The mediator closed the folder slowly and said this could not be solved in mediation anymore. It was going back to court. Full review. Possible sanctions. Even Brooke seemed shocked by how fast it all turned. We walked into the hallway again. I thought that was the end of surprises for the day. Then I saw two people standing by the door. Child Services. They held clipboards with our names on them. They said they needed to visit our homes. Aaron's face went pale. My heart sped up, but I said yes, because I had nothing to hide. The visit to my home was quiet and careful. The social worker asked simple questions. Where does Mia sleep? What does she eat? Who helps her with school? Mia showed her room with pride. She showed her books and the small plant she kept on the window. I could see Aaron from a distance later that week when they visited him. He looked nervous and unprepared. He had not expected real eyes on his daily life. I did not smile at that. It just made everything real. After the visits, the social worker said something I will never forget. She said Mia seemed safe and deeply bonded with me. She did not say a final result. She just wrote notes. Then something happened that none of us planned. Brooke vanished. She stopped answering her phone. She did not show up to the next hearing. Her lawyer stood alone at the table with an empty chair beside him. The judge narrowed his eyes and issued a formal warning to compel her appearance. The lawyer asked to withdraw from the case, saying they could not work together anymore. I sat there in shock. My own sister had started the storm, and now she had disappeared into it. This was not over. It was changing shape. A week later, news came through my attorney friend Jordan Hale, who had only been advising me as a friend, not speaking in court. He told me Brooke had filed an ethics complaint against Judge Whitaker. She claimed he was biased towards single parents like me. The hearings paused while the complaint was reviewed. Those days felt long, like waiting for a test result you already feared. I kept working, cooking, helping Mia with school, but my mind stayed half in that courthouse, even at home. Then the review findings came back. The complaint was dismissed. There was no proof of bias. Instead, Brooke was warned for misusing the complaint process to stall the case. I felt no joy in that, only a deep, tired sigh inside my chest. Court resumed. When I walked into the building again, I realized something. I was not afraid of court anymore. I was afraid of losing myself in anger. So I chose not to. I chose to stand tall and speak clear and let the truth carry its own weight. As I sat down at the table, Claire Donovan leaned toward me. She said softly, "We should talk after this." I nodded. The judge entered. The room rose. That night after court, Claire and I met outside by the wide courthouse steps. She looked different. Not sharp, not smiling, just honest. She told me Brooke had lied to her too. She said she was withdrawing as Aaron's lawyer because she could not stand behind what was happening anymore. She did not give me legal advice. She just spoke as a person. She told me to stay steady, to keep my voice calm, and to trust the process. I thanked her and watched her walk away, heels tapping like a slow clock across the stone. Aaron stood alone now. In the next hearing, he tried to act strong. He said he wanted full custody. But while he was talking, he slipped. He admitted leaving Mia alone once when he had to run out for something quick. The courtroom went still. The judge wrote another note. A parenting assessment was ordered for him. I did not cheer inside. I only felt the heavy shape of consequences finally settling in the right places. Then, just when it felt like everything had been revealed already, the courtroom doors opened. Brooke walked in. She had a new lawyer with her, and a new plan in her eyes. Brooke's new lawyer spoke fast. He said I was under too much stress. He said single parenting was breaking me and that I might be mentally unfit to care for Mia long term. He waived reports from years ago when I had said I was tired and overwhelmed. He tried to turn my honesty into a weapon. I stood slowly. My voice did not shake. I told the judge, yes, I had been tired. Yes, I had cried some nights. Yes, single parenting was hard. But that did not make me unfit. It made me human. It made me present. Then something I did not expect happened. Mia raised her hand. The judge blinked, then called a short recess and asked to see her in chambers privately. She looked back at me once. I nodded. She walked through the small side door with him. The room felt bigger without her, like the light had gone somewhere else. I sat down and held my hands together, not in fear, but in hope that truth spoken by a child carries more weight than any paper. Minutes felt like hours. The door finally opened. Mia came back out, calm and steady. The judge followed. His face looked different now. We all returned to our seats. The judge did not rush. He adjusted his glasses and looked at each of us one by one. He said he had spoken with Mia, and she had been clear, calm, and honest. He said she felt safe with me. She said I helped with homework, cooked with her, and listened when she spoke. She said I did not talk badly about anyone, even when I was sad. Those words filled the room like warm air after winter. Brooke looked down. Her lawyer shuffled his papers without speaking. The judge said the case would move to final ruling soon. He ordered counseling for Brooke before any unsupervised visitation in the future because of her manipulation and planning. He ordered assessment results for Aaron to be completed. Court was adjourned for that day. As I walked out into the bright afternoon, I felt something I had not felt since this began. I felt seen, not as a single parent who should stay quiet, as a father, as a person. That night, when Mia fell asleep, I sat with a cup of tea and thought about everything that happened. I did not want to hurt anyone anymore. I only wanted the truth to stand and stay. The final hearing came. The courtroom felt smaller than before, like all the walls leaned in to listen. I sat up straight. Brooke sat very still. Aaron rubbed his hands together over and over, like he was trying to erase something on his palms. The judge read through the findings. He spoke about false evidence. He spoke about the investigator. He spoke about the clerk. He spoke about choices and how choices carry weight. He spoke about children and what they need most. Then he ruled. Primary custody would remain with me. Aaron would have structured time only after completing the parenting assessment. Brooke would need counseling, and any contact would be supervised until trust could be rebuilt. Fines and formal notes were added for her actions. The words washed over me like rain after heat. I did not jump. I did not shout. I just closed my eyes for 1 second and breathed. When I opened them, Brooke was looking at me. Her eyes were wet. For a moment, she didn't look like the person who hurt me. She looked like the sister I used to know, lost and scared. Court ended, but our story did not. Something still waited just outside those doors. Brooke found me in the hallway. There was no crowd now, just long walls, soft lights, and our footsteps. She stood in front of me and tried to speak. No sharp tone, no cold smile, just shaking hands and broken words. She said she was sorry. Not sorry, but not sorry if, just sorry. She said she had been wrong about everything. About power, about image, about what strong family means. She said she was scared of how people would see us if I spoke up as a single dad. So she tried to control it. He cried in short, uneven breaths. I looked at her and felt two things at once. Hurt for what she did. Love from the years before all this. I told her I forgave her, but forgiveness did not erase what happened. There would be boundaries now. Real ones. That was my revenge. Not shouting. Not winning over her. Just saying no to control. Yes to truth. Yes to me as safety in my own voice. She nodded slowly. Aaron walked past us without speaking. He looked like someone who had finally met the weight of his choices and could not set it down. I took Mia's hand. We walked outside together. The sky felt wide again. Months passed. Life grew quiet again in the small ways that matter most. School mornings, lunchboxes, late-night talks about small worries and big dreams. The court papers became just papers in a drawer rather than shadows on the wall. But something else grew inside me too. A steady thought that would not go away. Law school. I had finished it years ago, then walked away because life came fast and hard. Now, after everything, I felt called back to it. Not for pride. Not to prove anything to Brooke or Aaron. For the single parents who get told to be quiet. For people who walk in alone and shake when they speak. I began studying late at night after Mia slept. Books open. Notes everywhere. Coffee growing cold beside me. I felt tired but alive in a new way. The bar exam day came. I sat for it. I walked out not knowing if I passed, only knowing I had done something for myself at last, not just to survive but to build. Weeks later, an envelope arrived in the mail. It was thick. My hands trembled as I opened it. I read the first line. I passed. The first time I walked back into Judge Whitaker's courtroom as a licensed attorney, the world felt different beneath my feet. Not bigger, not smaller, just clear, like someone had cleaned fog off glass. I took a pro bono case for a single mother who had been told over and over to sit down and be quiet. She reminded me of myself on that first terrible day, heart shaking, but still standing because she loved her child. As I stood to speak, Judge Whitaker looked at me with a small nod. Not favoritism, just recognition of a long road walked with care. I addressed the court as counsel. The words felt strong and calm in my mouth. I argued not with anger, but with fairness. I remembered Mia watching me all those months, learning not just from what I said, but how I said it. We stepped outside after the hearing. I saw Brooke across the street. She did not come over. She just lifted a hand in a small wave. Counseling had changed her, not into someone new, into someone honest about who she had been and who she wanted to be now. I waved back. Not everything was fixed, but it was real. At home that evening, Mia asked me to tell the story again. Not the court story, our story, how we made it through. I told it in simple words. Not about winning, about telling the truth even when it hurt, and standing up even when your hands shake. She listened with her chin in her hands. Then she smiled and said one sentence that stayed in my heart. She said, "Dad, you didn't fight them. You stood." She was right. Revenge was not shouting or crushing. It was choosing myself without hate. It was refusing to shrink just to make others comfortable. It was saying no to lies and yes to daylight. Later that night, after she slept, I sat alone at the table where all of this had started. Same wood, same scratches, same window, different me. I thought about the boy I used to be, who stayed quiet to keep peace. I thought about the man I became, who spoke anyway. I wished he could see this moment. The phone buzzed. A new client asking for help. Another single parent. I wrote back and said yes. A new story was beginning for someone else. And this time they would not stand alone. Not long after, I returned to the same courtroom where Brooke had once said single parents should stay quiet. The benches were full that day too, but I did not feel small anymore. I felt grounded in who I was and what I had lived through. The case finished. We stepped into the hallway. Brooke walked over with slow steps. She thanked me for helping another single parent. She said she was still working through things in counseling, still learning how control had guided her in ways she had not seen. We talked without shouting, without fear. She asked if she could see Mia more often under the plan the court set. I said yes, as long as the rules stayed in place. That was the boundary I promised myself. She agreed. Aaron sent a short letter later. He said he was in parenting classes and therapy. He did not ask for anything. He just said he wanted to try to be better than the man who helped hurt us. I did not answer right away. I let time speak first. The past did not vanish, but stopped steering my future. I walked outside and felt the sunlight warm my face. This was not victory over others. It was peace within myself. On the 1-year mark after everything began, Mia and I visited the park. We sat on the same bench where I once spoke with Aaron in fear and confusion. Now there was only wind, laughter, and the sound of distant traffic. Mia brought a small notebook. She said she was writing her own story now. Not about court, about strength, about people who fall and stand back up. I watched her write, small letters bending slightly on the page. A wave of pride moved through me, slow and deep. Not pride in winning, pride in the kind of person she was becoming. I realized something else too. My voice had changed. It no longer carried apology as its shadow. It stood on its own, steady, warm, firm when needed, soft when safe. We walked home together, our steps matching without trying. The city around us moved fast, but we did not rush. We had already run through storms. Now we were allowed to walk. That night, I closed my eyes and thanked the quiet. Not the quiet of being silenced. The quiet that comes after truth is spoken and nothing is left to hide. I slept deeply for the first time in years. Morning would come. I no longer feared it. The next morning, I ironed my suit and packed my warm briefcase. Mia ate breakfast at the table, swinging her feet as she read. She smiled and wished me luck on my case. When I reached the courthouse, I paused at the door. I remember the first day here when Brooke's words cut the room. Single parents should stay quiet. I remembered how small I felt, how the judge asked me to address the court as counsel, how my voice almost broke but didn't. I stepped inside. Today I stood again, this time fully as counsel. I spoke for someone who had been told the same lie I once believed. I watched their face change as they realized they were not weak, not less, not meant to be silent. After the hearing, I walked outside. The sky was wide and blue. Mia waited with our friend near the steps. She ran to me and hugged me. Brooke stood nearby, not intruding, just present, learning to be family in a new way. I looked up at the tall building and finally understood. This was not a story about being broken and fixed. It was a story about standing up and staying standing. And I was not quiet anymore.